welcome to the December the 17th, 2002 taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie, as we bring you the history of our city of Grand Prairie, Texas, and a lot of people that make that history. This is our history tape number 476, and it's very unique. We have never done a history, a complete history, on a year working of the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce. And we're so honored today to have the chairman of the board, the outgoing chairman of the board, Mr. Doug Sweeney. Mr. Doug Sweeney.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. I guess I should jump up and down and scream, or?
Well, you should say, good. I'm not going to have to be on here for the next 12 months.
Well, I wish I could say that, but I will miss everything.
Yes, but you're going to maybe get to come back since you have a different role. You're changing hats and you're chairman of the bond issue for the schools, and you're doing other things in other organizations in town. We may have you back under another hat. So.
Well, I've got many hats, so if you invite me to wear one of the other ones, that would be great.
That's wonderful. And president of the Chamber of Commerce, Radonna Hessel, we are very glad indeed to have you back, my dear.
Thank you very much.
To do the first recapping history of a year in the Chamber. And do you realize that a year has gone by since we first sat down with the chairman of the board, Sweeney, and started plowing through the year?
It has been an amazing and very fast year.
Yes,
We've enjoyed
it has. It's been exciting, hasn't it?
It has been very exciting.
Oh, well, I'm just so glad, but he had to be president-elect for a year before he got into this position.
We had to do a little training.
And now that he's going off as chairman, don't you keep him hanging around another year on the board there to see if everything's done right?
Definitely, definitely. We do not let them disappear.
Mm-hmm. And then even after that, you've recycled some of them as long as 10 years, like Mildred Walker and Pat Watson caps and some of the others that have gotten to stay with you for a long, long time. By choice or what?
No, it's by choice, and that's an exciting part of our Chamber of Commerce is we allow any past chamber president to remain on the board as an ex officio, and so that keeps some of the old ideas and activities to the forefront, yes. And gives new people in our community an opportunity to meet those that have been around a while, and they learn some things and are able to get their foot in the door a little quicker. So we're excited. A lot of chambers, their chairmen come off the board and then they just kind of disappear into the sunset.
Yes.
And we have the benefit of having a lot of expertise and knowledge and enthusiasm still involved. So we won't let Mr. Sweeney off quite so fast.
No, he's going to be looking around and saying, I just wish I could get out of this. It's almost, the chamber is almost like a disease.
It does get in your blood.
It gets in your blood when you get to working with it. It's hard to exit that office, isn't it?
That's the truth.
And the only way you can remember that is to see exit over the door. And that means you're an ex-it because you were it while you were the chairman of the board. You're going to have withdrawals right after you go off as the chairman of the board. I just know that you are.
Well, I'm sure that when you're president-elect, I think looking back, that gives you a chance to take a deep breath.
Yes,
And then when you're past chair, I said president-elect, when you're past chair, that gives you the opportunity to catch your breath.
Yes,
so
yes.
It's a long and it's a very fast, I say long, it's a very fast year. It goes by quickly.
Yes, it does.
And you look back and you think, gosh, it just seems like we just had our first meeting yesterday.
Yes. And has your family suffered any that they've had to eat a lot of TV dinners alone or dinner alone or anything like this? Or do you get real full support from your family?
I get great support from my family, Ms. Jackson. They know the importance of the chamber and many of the other activities that I'm fortunate enough to participate in. But I will say that since I'm the cook around the house, that when I'm not available, the fast food gets a little old.
Oh, it does, it does.
But my wife would kill me for saying that. But the truth is they've made sacrifices throughout the year, and I have probably abused, I guess, the privilege of being able to serve and neglected the family from time to time. So I've learned to when and how to say no, and hopefully they won't offend anyone in the future if they ask me to do something and I have to decline.
Yes. Now, as the chairman of the board for the chamber, you've changed careers in the middle of the stream.
That was interesting.
That was interesting. What you started out as a banker.
That's correct.
And now you have a new career. Tell us about the transition from that to that and working with the chamber. Did that affect in any way your chamber role?
Well, you'll have to ask Ms. Hessel that question if it affected anything, but changing career paths in the middle of the stream,
Yes.
I guess it made it a little harder to focus one direction or the other, knowing that things were going along so quickly. I had to focus my attention, I guess you could say, during the day on work, and during the mornings and evenings on the chamber, and
Yes.
somewhere in there the family had to fit in
Fit
as well.
into that, yes. Well, you've had a new experience that I hope I don't have that, because I haven't changed jobs in a long time. And you know, the older you get, the more that you resist when these changes come about, right?
Well,
No, you
I've
haven't noticed it yet.
I've heard that.
You haven't
and,
noticed that yet, I can see. Okay, we're going to let you rest for a minute. I've got to get to Radonna, because she's been here watching the picture while you were president-elect, while you were president. And I know she's getting her notes out to take down notes when you come on as the past chairman of the board. So, Radonna,
Yes, ma'am.
what's this year been like, working with Mr. Sweeney and your board, and this magic year of 2002?
It's been a fun and challenging year. I think it's been a little bit of old and a little bit of new. What Doug brought into the chamber is bringing back a little bit of the social,
Yes?
a little bit of the fun. Sometimes we business people tend to take ourselves a little too seriously, and Doug was able to bring back in some new events with some old events. A good example is our Fall Fantasy event. It was a moneymaker for the chamber, but it was also just a social event to get people together.
Yeah.
And through his leadership and some of the people that he got involved, we were able to bring in some Grand Prairians who had been there when it had been done before, and we brought their ideas and what happened then, and then combined them with Lisa Arnold as chairman of the event, and some new ideas, and made a really fun event. And we're excited. That was our first social in probably 5 or 6 years, and so it was fun, and he brought the fun back into the chamber.
I was by the Arnold Brothers Cleaners the other day picking up my city coat that I wear to authentic occasions, and Lisa brought it out to me, and I congratulated her for her role in the chamber deal. And she said, and that was the first year, and said, I believe they're going to do it again next year. So she seemed real excited about that, and she really helped make an impact, I think, as the chairman. A brand new person on the job, and as far as I know, she has not worked with the chamber money-making projects, so to speak, or fundraising projects. So.
And she brought some others. She brought quite a few people in that hadn't, they're there and they're supportive, but they just hadn't quite gotten involved. And I think Lisa came in because of Doug. She was a new contact and somebody new. Arnold Brothers has been around for a long time, but they've been raising their family and doing other things, and now they were ready to spread their wings. And so we really appreciated that and that involvement.
And also, they were in the spotlight last night when we opened the RJ Center on Carrier and Warrior, because they're right on that focal corner and all of the activity that's going on behind their building. I wondered if they were nervous about that.
Well, I have to correct you. That's another cleaner.
Oh, is that another cleaner? I knew it was a cleaner.
As a competitor, but I would say that the Arnolds did get their training at that local competitor
Oh, they
many
did.
years ago.
They started out with Reno cleaners?
Yes,
That's
they did.
correct.
Well, first one.
That's all right. That's all right.
All right, what else? Are you going to give us a rundown of what happened during the year of 2002? Shall we ask Doug what was the most exciting thing of all of the things that are on the list that you felt like that you have really made a significant contribution because of your leadership? And we're going to let you brag on yourself, because this isn't the time for you to hold back.
Well, I can't take credit for anything, Ms. Jackson, but I guess the initial disappointment would be that the canceling, in effect, of the Prairie Lights
Yes.
that the Chamber has put on for several years. That was a tremendous task for everyone. It took hundreds and hundreds of volunteers, and it wasn't so much the time and the labor involved. The dollars that it took to put something like that on, too, was a real burden on the Chamber.
Yes.
And then you take in light of the investment, both in personnel and dollars versus the return that we got in dollars, it just really got to the point to where the Chamber wasn't afforded the opportunity to do it again. We feel happy, though, that the tradition has somewhat been carried on by the folks at North Point,
Yes.
or at High Point Church.
High Point
excuse me.
Church across on 360 and I-20.
Right. Oftentimes out in the community, I still hear people say, "I went to Prairie Lights last night," and I can go along but I correct them in the end. I
Yes.
said, now that's High Point's Festival of Lights, but that was the biggest disappointment. So we
But
knew
the weather, you had the weather to contend with. So.
absolutely.
Oh,
Plus all of
absolutely.
the improvements that the city plans to make out there at that park.
Oh, yes.
We were literally going to run out of a place to have it, the
Yes.
event. So this looked like a good time to cancel it
Shut
and
it
look at
down.
something else.
Yeah.
The exciting part was is that everyone recognized the budget constraints that would put on the chamber,
Yeah.
and stepped up and volunteered for the other events that the chamber put on. And thanks to Radonna and the staff and all the volunteers and the board people, if I'm not mistaken, virtually every event that the chamber put on this year exceeded its budget projections. And as a result, the chamber made it throughout the year with a positive balance in the bank. And
What made the most money of all of your events?
oh gosh, that was very close, if I'm not mistaken, between the Grand Prix, our 15th or 14th, 15th annual Grand Prix,
Wow.
actually versus the Fall Fantasy, if I'm not mistaken, the first year that we put
Tell
that
me
on.
about that Fall Fantasy. You know, I didn't get to go that night, the first chamber event I have missed in my lifetime, because we had a big regional Seroptimus meeting, and I had Eddie Halliday coming out and all of this good stuff, and I was involved. I did, and the same night, the same time frame, right in the window, and I didn't get to even come by the Fall Fantasy.
Well, you weren't alone. There were a number of other activities going on that prevented people from attending. But we thought about, at the first part of the year, prior to us making our decision regarding Prairie Lights, that we needed an event that would bring the membership together
Yes.
and allow them basically to meet one another and
Have a
enjoy
good time.
themselves and exactly have a
Yeah.
great time. In the past, we've had costume parties and other socials that the chamber has put on, and for whatever reason, it appeared to the general public that that's all the chamber did. So, as a result, they in effect just stopped doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this year, I think the chamber has done not only a tremendous job at representing its members, but they've had a good time at doing it as well. We decided somewhere March, April, that we were going to put that on. We recruited Lisa Arnold to chair that particular event. She went to work and within a very short period of time secured the location, got the decorations and all
Now,
lined out.
securing that location, now, that was magic.
That
Didn't
was
you get,
magic.
Didn't you get it free?
We were fortunate enough to get
Yeah.
the former Sears location, compliments of Hawthorne,
Out at Six Flags.
Six Flags Mall,
I think
to
that's
do with it
outstanding.
whatever we wanted to do with it.
You could have turned it into a gold mine if you'd have wanted to.
Well, the fact that we turned it into a casino was probably enough.
That's the next thing to it, isn't it? That's wonderful. Well, speaking of costumes, I was a little bit apprehensive the first time I saw this exciting photograph that we're going to use at the end of our show. We're going to run the credits over that, and I thought, oh my, I just wonder what kind of a new administration we have coming down the pike. And now that you've explained it to me, that all of these things are sort of happening by magic, I think it's just wonderful, because it certainly was different.
Well, we probably did cause a little consternation among a few people when that invitation went out for the annual awards banquet.
Yes.
We really felt like that event had become a little stale and
A little dull.
and we really wanted to make it not only an event for those award winners, but really just make it fun for everyone else that came as well. So somehow, some way, we managed to get everyone, at least all of the officers and directors, in a
I can't believe
a
you
toga.
got them all in a toga. That was another miracle. You've already had two miracles that we know of during.
Well, I will say that the photo that you've shown there is not a quote photo. It is magic that was provided us by Steve Adams.
Steve Adams, yes.
We took face shots of all of the members, all the
And
board
fitted
members
them
and
into those
directors.
positions.
They had no idea where they would be or what it was for. So when we unveiled that, it was quite a surprise to all of them.
And I'm sure it was a surprise when it came out as a public photograph too, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, that is wonderful. Okay, I think that your two choices of the best and the most disappointing things, I think that's a pretty good resume of that. How about you, Ms. Verdana?
Well, I want to give Doug credit on probably the best thing that was done, I think, on behalf of Grand Prairie businesses this year was Doug's efforts and involvement on the highway issue and frontage roads.
Yes, sir.
Through his prodding, pushing,
And testifying,
etc. We had 32 Grand Prairie businesses represented at a state hearing
Yes.
For highways. And the minute order that they had approved and that was to go into effect to discontinue state highway built frontage roads
Yes.
has been rescinded. Now that does not mean that we can sit back on our laurels and
No.
not keep an eye on them because they can bring it back at any time. But the fact that they did the minute order without hearings ahead of time, the fact that Grand Prairie and many other cities in the Metroplex, in fact throughout the state, got involved, TxDOT rescinded that order. And I think it was quite impressive to have 32 businesses from Grand Prairie to be there. And
Yes.
they were there because Doug and the board, let the businesses know what was going on and to get involved. And, we can do a lot more together than we
Right.
can do in single form. And so I think he needs to be really proud of that effort. And that's an ongoing effort. That's one of those things we won't forget and won't let him step away from. So that was an important part of what we did this year.
Well, you have a pretty strong governmental affairs committee because I get to come to a few of those meetings, and they are mean about watching where things go and how the and now that the legislation will begin again in January, they already are on their toes for things like that they recommend to the board. Then the board gets all riled up, and then you have to work, don't you?
I do. One of the reasons we don't have some lawyers that are members of the chamber is because of tort reform and positions that the chamber took.
Yeah.
What they don't seem to understand is that those positions are brought to the board from its members. The Government Relations Committee will meet and discuss issues that are getting ready to come up. They as a group will study them and take a position and pass that on to the board. And so it's those people that are involved that study the issues are who will usually direct where the chamber goes. This last week I was down in Austin at a 2-day function, and it was a legislative update. Heard from the new incoming lieutenant governor, the new attorney general.
How wonderful.
And listen to what their views are on what's coming up in this legislative session. And all I can say is our business community needs to be very, very involved.
And very alert.
They're very alert. They say no new taxes, but that means spending cuts, or, a couple of them mentioned extra fees that might be tacked on to businesses, insurance issues. So it's important that we as businesses stay up to date. We've got, with the internet access now, chamber members, board members, and the Government Relations Committee can get automatic emails that are sent out immediately on issues that are getting ready to happen. They were commenting last year on an issue that came forward, and they were able to send the governor's office 30,000 emails across the state through the Texas Association of Business. And part of that was Grand Prairie Chamber members, because those people that are involved in the Government Relations Committee respond to those emails. And so it's important to be involved, and I think we do a good job with that.
I believe Austin has a program where many of the people can get online and pick up the activities in the state legislature as they're meeting. I know that in the Austin area, do you think we'll ever get that here in as far up as Grand Prairie?
Well, I think you might have been at that meeting. We talked to Senator Royce West, Representative Jennifer Wickman, and they are looking at a way to do that and to put that on a cable channel throughout the state. But even when you listen to it, sometimes you and I have both been down there. You don't always know exactly what they're saying, and so having your foot in the door and being able to be updated on what's going on and what you need to do to react. I think that's important.
Now that you're going off as the chairman of the board, when the legislative session begins, are you going to make the trip to Austin and go down and beat the drum and kind of shake up the people in the legislature, sir?
Absolutely. I can still represent the community, not necessarily in
Yes.
an official capacity, but as a citizen as well, or as a business leader. And,
Business leader.
you don't have to be a officer or director or member of the Chamber of Commerce to go down to that annual trip. I say it's annual. It's every time the legislature's in
Every
session.
2 years.
But you don't have to be a member in order to participate. And,
You just get your money ready to pay for your lunch and your ride down there. I've done that lots of times, but that's exciting.
It is. I think a lot of people have been to the state capitol, but not necessarily during
A working session.
That's right, and don't really understand how it works. And they also have an opportunity to literally walk in the office of their representatives and speak to them and voice their opinions and concerns. And the more people that walk in those doors, the more they're going to hear from their constituents, and maybe they'll listen to what's going on in their communities.
I'd like for y'all to kind of go down the list. One or you to go take a couple or three, and let's talk about what's happened during the year.
Well, we talked about our community awards with that fine photograph.
Yes,
that
that's
you
a
showed
fine
earlier.
photograph.
Yeah.
But now let's get down to the state of the city.
Well, the state of the city was special this year because it afforded us the opportunity to open Next Stage.
Yes.
That was a joint event. Not only was it great for the city to hear the mayor talk about how things are going in our community, but it also gave us a chance to see the wonderful facility that's been constructed out there and all that it's going to provide us in Grand Prairie.
What an opening.
It was. It was a Broadway-style state of the city. It'll be interesting to see what we do in the future, if we'll ever be able to top that.
Yes, I hope so. How about the taste and tour?
The Taste and Tour, well, let me back up. I believe in this coming year, and our incoming chairman will probably be able to clarify that, but we'll probably make use of the newly opened Ruthie Jackson Center here in the community to host a number of these events. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the State of the City and the Taste and Tour will both be held in that facility this coming year. This past year, the Palace of Wax, which they've hosted in the past, they hosted again this year, and there were 500 plus people that attended. And in fact, what we did is we outgrew the facility. Their place was not large enough to host the crowds and the people that were coming to that event, so we're going to move it to the Ruthie Jackson Center, and we hope that it continues to grow.
Oh, man, that's wonderful. We've talked a little bit about the Grand Prix, number 7 on our list. What, is that the 15th? And do you think that those that follow in your footsteps will still want to do that?
That's in discussion.
It is.
That was the 15th, and every single event has been super. It's brought a lot of attention to Grand Prairie. It's allowed a lot of the participants to see parts of Grand Prairie that they would not have seen just driving north or south or east and west through our city. Yet the growth and all the exciting things happening in our city, it might prevent us sometime in the future from hosting that event any longer. We're just running out of a safe environment in which to conduct the event.
Especially when they open up everything at Lake Joe Pool.
Absolutely.
All the parks. And
when you've got 8,000 to 9,000 housing units going up in that vicinity, the traffic and all of the infrastructure improvements, it's really going to be a hazard at some point in time, and we may have to explore.
We may have to build a bike trail.
We might have to do that.
Yeah, that may be next. But how about the job fairs? I'd like for you to speak on that since you're really into business. I'm going to get back with Rodonna and let her rehash some of this stuff we're talking about.
Well, I personally was extremely happy about a number of events that the Chamber put on during the year. Really in the fact that it shows that the Chamber does work for the business community, and the job fair or job fairs were actually there were 2 held during the year. The second of which, I believe, there was another job fair hosted by Channel 8 or sponsored by Channel 8 that same day, and by far our Chamber and the participants and the vendors and the companies that participated far outdrew the event over in Dallas that was being sponsored by Channel 8.
Okay.
So that tells me that our Chamber is doing something extremely well, and hats off to the staff and David Littlefield for his efforts in putting that on. Job
fairs and Procurement Conference, I know they aren't the same thing. Which is the most exciting?
They're both exciting, but the Procurement Conference, I believe, keeps growing and growing and growing, and I think Rodonna might want to speak on some of the plans for that.
We have 4 minutes on this interview. This is a 30-minute interview, and we're going to have to hurry, but come on, tell us about it.
Well, the Procurement Conference is something that we do for the large and small businesses in Grand Prairie, and we have wonderful support from Lockheed Martin and from Vought Aircraft. They are able to help draw in some very large corporations in our community, and when I say community, Metroplex as a whole. And we're able to invite 4,000 to 5,000 small businesses in the entire Metroplex to come and be able to learn how to do business with big business. This is an event that, as Doug says, continues to grow. We continue to refine it, and we draw people from not only the state of Texas, but Oklahoma and Kansas as well. So we look forward to continuing this effort, and we appreciate those that came before us and developed it. It is an exciting thing to have in Grand Prairie.
And the legislative breakfast, you don't have to hit lightly on that at least.
Every year in the...
You had a wonderful group of very important people.
We did. Every representative of Grand Prairie, elected official, was able to be here. We had U.S. Congressman Martin Frost, Representative Ray Allen, Senator Chris Harris, Senator Royce West, Dallas County Commissioner Ken Mayfield, and Tarrant County Commissioner Glenn Whitley. Each of them came and spent an hour with us, telling us what they thought was important for the coming year and listening to what we thought. And I think that's what makes it a great event for us, is that they take the time to listen to us. And we get them before the legislative session, so it's a good part for Grand Prairie.
That's wonderful. Anything else? We got to hit it pretty lightly.
Well, if you'd allow me to say thanks to a lot of important people, I'd
All
like
right,
to do that.
let's just do that.
I'd like to say thanks to all the officers and directors of the 2002
All right.
group. That would include Janie in her efforts as chairman-elect. As I said, she's taking a deep breath now, so she better get ready and put her tennis shoes on.
All right.
Corey Johnson at Lone Star Park, Sandy Morrison, Buddy Bridges, Greg Gessner, Alan Hughes, Stuart McCallum, Lila Thorne, and then our past chairman, Jim Gray, for all their efforts in really making my life a lot easier this past year. And also to thank all of the board of directors, the ex officios, and the many, many, many volunteers who made this year a real success. They're the ones that made this year successful. I was fortunate enough just to be able to sit back and watch things develop, but thanks to them, it's been a great year.
Oh, that is wonderful. And would you like to critique his performance?
With me
We
standing here.
have about a minute and a
I
half.
still have one more paycheck to be signed, so. No, Doug did a really good job this year, as I said. He brought in, did that.
Some new blood.
Well, brought in the new blood with the old blood. I think it's melding together that really made his year different and unique. When he came on board, his goals were to improve what the Chamber does for its members and to focus on member benefits. And I think that's what he brought. He looked at ways to make membership beneficial not only to the members but the community at large, and I think he did that very well.
Oh, that is wonderful. Would you, in the half minute that we have left, look out into your camera and tell everyone that they ought to be a member of the Chamber and why?
If you're not a member of the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce, you're missing something. And if you're wondering what it is you're missing, you need to pick up the phone, call the Chamber, get your checkbook out, become a member, and most importantly, you need to be active.
That's it. And the magic telephone number, Madam Chairman, President?
972-264-1558 or www.grandprairiechamber.org.
That's right. And I want to thank y'all so very much for this very first recapping history of the Chamber of Commerce. And y'all have been delightful all year long to come out and share the Chamber of Commerce activities with us and with our viewing audience. Mr. Lewis Tobar said we got to wrap it up. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're just real delighted to have brought you history today, and history is as we live and do. And he's going to run our picture.